Hi guys. So let's restart everything. We'll start with the basics. I know we have done in the last couple of classes, we tried to play with auto layout. Uh, we did different how to add constraints. There was an introduction about Xcode. We worked on classes as well. We saw how we can have what all things are there in classes, how the classes and objects are related. So now, since this is our first step towards Swift, so I wanted to start with the very basic elements. I prepared this playground. You can access it on my GitHub handler. I will add it in the description. So we'll start with constant and variable. This is very simple concept. We'll try to spend least time. Like this is something like you would be using it throughout the class. Okay, so in the introduction part, I'll keep it short and sweet. So I think without getting further delay, let's start with the constant and variable. So we know in Swift. Before that, I wanted to show you something. So this is how I have given the heading. Okay, this is the heading 2 and heading 4. And if I wanted to see this, so how you can do that? Go to editor, okay, and say show render markup. So you can see something like this, which is more readable. So constant and variables, they declare before you use them, correct? And what we say is with let you have a constant value, with where you will have a variable. So I'll go ahead. Just give me a moment. Okay. So let my constant value is equal to 10. Okay. And they say variable should be declared. My variable value equal to 20. Okay. So this is how you will have a let and constant. Let is constant and whereas variable declared in your playground. Okay. In your project basically. So now what will happen if I will constant value dot, or I will try to give it 20. Okay. So now what will happen? You cannot assign this value because it's a let. Okay. So in case of variable, if you say I wanted to change my variable value to 10, this will work as smooth. Okay. So for now we can keep till this only. Another thing I wanted to show you is so you can have since you have used let, how we can have a multiple constant declared in the same line. You can do that with the comma. So I'll say constant val2, okay, which is 11, and then I can have constant val. Correct. So this is how this way also you can declare the constant values. So what we did, we didn't use let constant value this, let constant. So we are just, what we are doing here is we are skipping that part to mention let for all with the comma. Okay. Similarly, you can have for this. Okay. So what is the take from the constant and variable topic which we wanted to cover now in this is constant value is constant and it is declared with the let keyword. You cannot change it. That's why it is called constant. So if in the previous lesson we have classes, correct, and we created a person class, what can stay constant in that case? Like maybe your email ID is a constant value, which will not change, correct? Once it's assigned, it won't change, correct? Similarly, you can think of while actually creating a project, you can think of something which you are changing it, give it a var, and if you're not changing it, it's let. The rule which I use is I always declare it. You can go ahead and declare everything. If you are not sure, go ahead and declare it with let, and whenever you wanted to use it or change it, say like in this case, I wanted my constant value to be changed. I will get a compiler warning which will say it's a constant value. Try converting into var. Okay, clear? Okay, so what we will do is we'll move to the next topic, okay, which is type annotation. Okay, so what we did here is, I wanted to show you here is what we have done. Here we have given constant value as 10, which is an integer value. Okay, and here you can, instead of that, you can give it a double value as well, a float value. Okay, so basically what you have done is it is understanding what exactly the value you are giving it. Correct? A constant will get to know what value you are giving it. So constant value 2, I can give it as a, okay, my bad. Okay, I'll give it a string value. Correct? So you can say these all are the different data types. Here I could stick with int, and then I have a string value, and then I have a float value. Correct? But we have never mentioned when we say what is type annotation. So what basically you can do is you can here we say when you declare a constant or a variable, to be clear about the kind of values the constant or a variable can store. So we'll take the same example here. I'll just copy it. Okay, so how you can do this, I gave constant, but since I know the type, I will say it will have my int value. Okay, what are the benefits when we talk about annotations and all that? It's more of it'll become a readable. Okay, so we have already declared here. So I will say annotation. So we have declared already, so it is actually shouting. So what we told with annotation, the constant value will look something like this. And if you are trying to save a string value, you will mention it string, and you can have a string value. Okay, this becomes a string value for you. Any question on that?
Here also can we use multiple in a single line?
You can. So this is, I still say this is okay. The rules will stay same. Okay, so if we wanted to do it, we can say I wanted the annotation 1 as a string. So then again you have that. It's on a similar note how you are declaring it. So whatever annotation is nothing but what you are doing is you're just adding type.
Mix and match of annotation, not annotation. That is also.
Yes. So basically what you are doing here, what I have shown is you have a constant value, okay, which is an integer value. You can declare here only with the colon type, here also colon type, here also colon type. You can do that here as well.
So one with annotation, one without annotation, that also.
Both will work. Why we say, when we say annotation, we have added a type, this will, what will happen is it will become a readable one. Okay, this is one way of doing it. Another one you can do it, say like my value 1, value 2, and value 3, and these are of type, say, double. Okay, so you can have something like this as well. Clear? Now we have not used, what we will do is, now the third thing I wanted to cover is printing constant and variable values. How we can print. So we have declared here on the top, say like I'll give a value equal to 10. Okay, 10.0 since it's a double value. Okay, so when I talk about the printing of these, so how we can do is, let's do that. Okay, it says missing in pattern. Okay, let's figure out what exactly it is shouting about. Okay, here you can do it. Right. So the issue, what it was telling us, you have given the value for this, the value for these were missing. So the printing part I wanted to show you. If I want to print any string value, you can say printing constants and variables. Okay, so you can have this. Now assume I wanted to print value 1. So how I can do that? So I will do, so how I can do backspace, and you can have the angular brackets. So now if you say value 1, so it's going to print value 1. So let me make it more descriptive. Printing value 1, okay, which is equal to this. So let me run this, and we can see here printing value 1, which is equal to 12.0. Okay, clear? So printing the constants. Okay, this has come again. So let me go ahead and delete this. Okay, now the next thing which we wanted to cover is you can naming, how you can have a naming of constant and variable. So I showed you, let's add naming constants and variables. Okay, how you can name it? Okay, I can use this, so it will become like this, rich text. So naming part, let me say I wanted let cat equal to cat. Okay, so basically what it is, the cat is the name of a constant value, and the value is a string val. Okay, I wanted to give a smiley instead of that. How I can do that? You can go to, okay, you can go to edit, and you have emoji and symbols. Okay, there's a shortcut for that. Say like I wanted this, and I can say cat eye. Okay, this is how, so you can print this as well. So we'll say print. So these are the unique, how you will print this. Again, I showed you how to print this. So, oh, my bad, it requires, okay, I'll say value equal to, okay. So let me run this. So since you have stored value in this, okay, these are called unicodes. We'll get into these later. Just I wanted to show you like how you can work with the naming conventions of this. You can have, say like, say you can, instead of this, you can say let this as a double I. Okay, so what you can do is, instead of printing this, I will say double value is equal to, okay, let me copy this as full, and I'll say print the double I. So when I will run this, okay, so what we are doing is we print the double I, double value equal to double I, using the Unicode characters. Okay, so let me pause this. Great. So what all we have covered till now is we checked constant and variables, how you can declare a constant and a variable, how they are different from each other. You can have a type annotation, okay, how you can actually specify a let, with let, we are actually saying like if it is holding a string value, I'm mentioning a string value, so it's more readable. Printing constant and variables, we checked you can have a slash with the variable name inside it. Okay, and then naming a constant and variable, you can use Unicode characters. So the next part I wanted to show you is how you can add okay, my bad, it got, so my playground got crashed on. So what another thing I wanted to tell you is how we are comments, how we add into our code. Okay, so how I can do add, so I'll say add a comment. So this will be treated as a comment, 2 forward slashes. Okay, is there any other way we can do it? Yes, we can do a forward slash followed by asterisk, again asterisk, and a forward slash. Now here also, here if you go to the next line, it will not be treated as a comment, correct? So this is a single line comment if you wanted to add with the 2 slashes, but if you have asterisk asterisk, this is a multi-line comment. Okay, see, I can add multi-line comment. Okay, and what we can do is there is another way. We can have a nested multi-line comment as well. So basically, in that case, assume this is the case, we'll take, okay, and I'll say this as a so I have a one comment, and then I have a multi-line comment, this, okay, and then comment started here. Okay, let me show you here only. Let's say this is a single line comment. I will make it multi-line by this. It became multi-line comment. Let's see if we are getting an issue. Now this is a multi-line comment, see. And now I wanted to show you is the nested one. You can have a nested comment. Okay. And so another thing which I wanted to show you is the semicolon part. Like other languages, Swift doesn't require you to write a semicolon. So assume if I take let my val equal to some string value. Okay, till now we have seen like we don't require semicolon to be used. Okay, this is semicolons. Okay, okay, so we have not done that, and we can skip this part also. Only thing it is required when you have, say, like you wanted a print statement, so I wanted to print okay. In this case, you see here I tried to print this value. This is the string value I wanted to print. Okay, so in this case, if I am trying to write it in the same line, it will make sense like having a semicolon. Okay, else if you don't have a semicolon, then your compiler will not understand, and you will be seeing a consecutive statements on a line. So if you don't want to write a semicolon, you can have it like this. I recommend this should be written like that. I cannot think of a case where you want to have it in a single, because this will be more readable. Okay, so now what we wanted to discuss is the Swift TypeAlias. Okay, so basically what it is, a TypeAlias allows you to provide a new name for an existing data type in your program. Okay, after a TypeAlias is declared, once you declare a TypeAlias, instead of using the uh, existing type, you will use the name which you have given throughout your program. Okay, let me work on a very simple example how you can create a type alias. So I'll tell you the syntax. You will say type, my bad, type alias. Okay, so it will tell you give the type name and type expression. Okay, so now let's create a student. We'll create a student name, okay, as type alias, and we'll say it is of type string. Okay, so I showed you like, okay, how you are actually giving the type here. Okay, the constant value is of type string. So let me create a student one. Okay, student one, and I'll say it's of type string and name is Nagraj. Okay, so I'll go ahead and I'll say print my student one. Okay, all this while I showed you like you can have double quotes, then forward slash and all that. That is if you wanted to concatenate it with any other thing. Right now I just wanted to print string one. I can directly add this and it will print Nagraj. Okay, so how type alias will be useful for us now? Since say like I have a class for the student, I have a student class, and I know the object, if I'm referring in the class, it has to be a type of student. So instead of string, this won't make it more readable. Instead of that, in here I'm saying it's a student one is of type string. I'll say I have created a student name. Since here I'm assigning a name, correct? I'll say student one here. So maybe this can be readable. Okay, or we can keep it as a student one. And when I'll say student one is of type student name, which is string, which is Nagraj. And I can, if try to print this, I have again Nagraj is printed. Okay, so basically we'll take a very basic understanding at this point of time of the type alias. You can do, you can have, you can create an arrays, and then you can say my array will be of type string array you can create, or you can say I wanted to create array of student.
One question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So this may be a question or my understanding of how it is being used. Suppose we do have a class name. Okay, we use two libraries in the same file, and there are two class names with the same name. So that way, in that case, we can rename one like with type alias, and you can use it along the class, right?
Correct, correct.
Something like that.
Correct, correct. We can do that. That is correct. I'm not telling that right now because we are still way apart from the using a different frameworks at this point of time. So the question was like, if we have different frameworks and we have same class in both the frameworks, when you use it, you can type it as one of them, and then you can make your code readable. You can do that. But for this tutorial, we'll skip that part. Okay, maybe we'll, whatever the questions we have, we will actually do it in practice. Down the line, we can actually create our own framework. We'll see how we can make our code reusable, the small set of code. Okay. So the next thing, what we wanted to type alias we covered. Now let's Boolean, I think with the basic understanding, what it will have is a true or a false value. Okay, so I'll say let, I did something. Okay, let Abhilash is a my bad. Okay, so let Abhilash is a good player. I'll say true. We can have a different understanding with this. Okay, you can use true or you can use false. Okay, so see here, you can have this as a bool. Okay, you can mention it as this boolean. Okay, that way also you can give, or you can directly give it as a true or false. So I'll say let's see how we can use it with if statement. I'll say if Abhilash is a good player. Okay, I'll say print he is considered as a good player. Okay, fine. And I can have else, and I'll say he is not considered as a good player. Okay, so now let me run this. We told Abhilash is a good player. So how this will get executed? It will say if Abhilash is a good player, if it is true, it will fall into this, else it will fall into this. Very simple. Okay, and if I'll change it to true, see here, you could see he's not a good player. Let's change Abhilash as a good player. He's considered as a good player. So very basic thing I wanted to show in Boolean value. And the next part I wanted to tell you is, and in other languages we have seen like now we have people who are working on different languages. If I'll say let I is equal to 1, okay, and let me use if it is true, print true.
Here it is true means not null.
Else, give me a minute, else we have false. Okay, please tell me.
Here, if you uses like that, so here anyhow it's an error. So
Yes. I wanted to actually, what I wanted to show you is, in Objective C or in some other languages, I think you can comment. If we give 0 or 1 as a value, it will take it as a Boolean value and it will say, okay, you can execute if. You can have an integer value and it will consider integer value 0 as false, whereas anything greater than 0 will be considered as a true value. So Swift type safety prevents non-Boolean values from being substituted for bool. So this is, I just wanted to highlight this part. Okay, so the next part I wanted to cover is tuples. Okay, you can have a multiple values into a single compounded value. So I'll show you. So what we will cover is tuples, tuples. Okay, so I'll say let student info. Okay, I wanted to create right now all this file. What we have done is we have given 10 or a string value here. I wanted to show you how we can give multiple values here. So I'll say name is Abhi. Okay, age is 29, and say like you belong to a group, so which is group B. Okay, so now how you can have access to these values? Student info, you have this as 0. Student info, you can access all the information related to that, and you can have student info and 2. Okay, so this will give you all the information associated with it. And where is the cursor? Yes, so this is how you will get all the information. So what we have realized, it's still not that readable. Okay, so you have 0, 1, 2. How you can make it readable? How you can make it readable? So what you will do, I'll say my tuple, the first thing basically is a name. the second thing is age, and then you have a following up with a group. Okay. So this is basically where it is used. You wanted to give multiple information. We have still not worked with say like API calls and all. So if you wanted to send a different information, say like you will say my error is 404 and you have the message associated with that. You can construct a tuple and send it across to your wherever the calling method is. This also we will actually cover when we will talk about functions, return types. We'll talk about all that. Okay, till now what understanding we wanted to give is, right, all this while we were our variables were linked with only one value, but you can have these additional values. You can make it the naming also, you can adjust it. And now if we'll say we have one second, I'll say student info dot. So previously you saw what we were doing is we were trying to fetch the information from the index. Now we have made it more readable. So if you have a very small data set you wanted to create, where like, okay, you will say what I'm trying to calculate 3 parameters in my program. I wanted to bind it and send it across, making it more readable. Okay, so you'll say student info directly, you can have name, student info you can have age, and student info you can have group. Let me quickly type it and let's see if we have any questions on that. We'll take that and then we'll move to the next topic. Okay, so this information also we can fetch, we can see it on to the right side. Here also we could get all the information on the basis of index associated with that tuple. Here we can have with the readability part of it. Yes, please. Anybody has any question?
Yes. What will be the type of this one?
Yes.
The data type.
Correct. So here we could see here, my name is of type string, age is of type int, and again you have a group. You can have multiple data types associated.
Okay.
I think you got into arrays where we can have a one type or multiple types stored in the data structure. That also will cover it. But here you can just take a concept from here. You have multiple data types, data information. You wanted to save it, a key value pair. So you for the key name, you have this value, this. We'll talk about arrays, dictionaries. I think over the time it will become more clear once we have those concepts also. Okay, so with this, I think this information, what all the tuple is, how we can make it a readable tuple. And, okay, so anything else I will see. If I wanted to cover here, I wanted to show you a wildcard. Okay, so assume if we wanted to get, I don't know, I am not able to recall any of the scenario where you wanted to use a wildcard, but assume if I don't wanted to use a group. So you have seen here, like if I press escape on the system, it will give 3 things. Okay, and say I don't wanted to expose this for some reason. So I can make use of this and I'll say you will still have, see here, age and name you have access to, and you have access to the index. It will fall back. Instead of name, we were getting a group, correct? It fall back to index. Maybe we'll see once we start using the for loop, or we'll get into the loops concept, how wildcard will make sense to us. Okay, so I'll say instead of this 2. Okay, any question on this?
I have a question.
Yes.
Can we edit the name after this one?
Okay, so the question I will repeat again. If I wanted to change the value of name, will it take? So it will not take because we have student info as not changeable, which is a constant value. So if you change it and you give it a name equal to changed name, it will take that. So you can see here, instead of Abhilash, it's a changed name. Okay. So the next thing what we wanted to cover today is optionals. So let's go with the basic English definition of this. What is optional?
Multi-choices.
So basically optional is you have an option whether your the value is present or it is not present. So let's take a very basic example. So assume if it's a Nagraj's birthday, okay, and Nagraj got 3 gift boxes, okay, and you know we used to play prank in our childhood. We're like, we'll get a gift box, wrap it, but there is no gift inside it. Correct. So this gives a possibility. Once you have a gift box, this gives you a possibility to keep nothing in the box as well, and it will still be shown as a gift. So I wanted to explain you a concept of options with this. What you can have in the box in that case, assume you don't know what is there. So you know the possibility it can have nothing also, it can have a gift also. Correct. So similarly like that, so assume if you are asking me for some information, if I have the information, I'll give it to you. If I don't have the information, I will not give it to you. I'll say it's nil. So other languages and all that, you can actually expect a variable as a value nil. Here, what the Swift language follows is, I wanted to show you with, say, maybe like, let's take an example and work with this. Okay, let's start with optionals. Okay, so when I spoke about a gift box, how you can predict it in your head. So I'll say where my gift box, okay, it will have, assume I am expecting money. I can and say like I am expecting 100 rupees in every gift box. Okay, so what happens is, now I say gift box will always have money. So I will say print my money in my gift box, which is equal to, this is very interesting concept. I think I've given a wrong name. Let me correct this. Okay, so money in my gift box is how much? Okay, so it will say money in my gift box is 100. Okay, now assume one of my friend decided I will not give any money to Gourav, and he'll say I'll add a nil value. What should happen? Okay, it will not take an int value, okay, as a nil value, but I can have an object which is equal to nil value. Then what will happen? Okay, it'll say nil require a constructor to type. So I will say int, I wanted a money, but if the money is not there, I say I still have a question mark. It can have a value, it cannot have a value. So when I talk about optionals, you think of a question mark in your head. Okay, it can have a value, it cannot have a value. This is the warning we are getting. We'll address this. Okay, so here we are getting a warning, but in your code, if you're trying to access this nil value, your code will crash. Mostly we have seen, we have people from here, the development background, QE background. You would have seen sometimes in your while you are testing the app as a programmer or as a dev or a QE, we see so many crashes within the app. Null pointer exceptions, different types. So here we are talking about something we are trying to find which is not there, but we assume it should be there. It's a daily life issue. So clear enough? What it is, the optional value. So how we actually unwrap the value is with the sign of exclamation. So what we do is, what we say is, I am sure you will get the value. So this is the cause which will actually create bugs into your problem. They say when you become overconfident with information, you will actually get into trouble. So here, if I have 100, it's well enough. I'll get the value. My gift box has 100. But if I will store, because it's an optional value, I can store nil. And if I'll try to print, okay, see here, I have gone into issues, which will create actually crashes in my actual program or a code. We will see, we'll work on optionals tomorrow again with additional information, what all we can add. Okay, so we'll continue tomorrow.